Golf season, everyone, is quickly approaching / already here. We've had some big events. We got big event after big event coming up, and we got a great show today. You know, it gets a little loose out there, which I know people enjoy from time to time. We cover a myriad of different topics, some TGL, a little bit of pyramid talk, a lot of fun, interesting things, all brought to you by Chevy and Chevy.com/Equinox EV. Just a lovely vehicle, a lovely American company, and a lovely little podcast here for you.
Yeah, we're heading out to Houston for the is it the Texas Children's
Houston Open?
Houston Open. Can't wait for that. And yeah, just one of those weeks where it's just we're traveling. We got a lot of things on the docket, so kind of an old school, just what's the world like kind of episode, and which I always love to throw these into the rotation. And I also love to throw Chevy into the rotation whenever we get into a nice Chevy, especially on the road. Like we'll be landing in Houston tonight, getting in a nice Chevy. It's like there's nothing better. That's what we rent when we're on the road. It's what we get when we're here at home. It's just nothing better.
Reliable, baby. Chevy is just reliable, and now with the EVs, the Equinox EV accommodates with comfortable seating up to 5 people. We know. Take these on the road. Like I said, we got all kinds of people, all kinds of stuff. Head over to Chevy.com/Equinox EV. Check out the product info, the lease offers, and the amazing deals. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
What are we doing with this sport?
Fore-play, presented by Barstool Sports. We are back, second show of the week. Houston. It is the Houston Open week. We got a little closest to the pin action today. We haven't done closest to the pin in a while. We've had, we had the JJ Spawn show. We were on the road to the Players Championship. We just haven't really done closest to the pin in a while. So that is back. We got a little TGL finale to talk about, and then we've got a ton of upcoming travel. So I kind of put all that on there as a just a little foreshadow and a little conversation about what we've got going on. But we could start with, you guys catch any of so we're recording early, so everybody knows a bunch of travel midweek, so we kind of got to record early. So recording after the first round of the TGL best of 3 final. So the Tuesday has not occurred yet. Did you guys catch any of the Monday night TGL action by chance?
I did not watch it live. I was in the thick of an Islanders Columbus Blue Jackets game at UBS Arena, but I did see the highlights. Seemed like a great match. JT, very fired up. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what you guys say. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched it live, but it seemed like it had some pretty good hype around it.
I did not watch it live either. I saw some Billy Horschel stuff. I saw Billy Horschel taking it very seriously, which I think we like to see. I think that's kind of where I've landed on it. It is interesting that TGL, like when this first started going on, it had a lot of juice, and I think that juice actually carried maybe even further than some people were expecting. But now we're running into the issue of where we run into with a lot of sports that are up and coming or like don't get a ton of viewership, where it's like, I don't know exactly if people are that invested into what they're playing for, because it's like, it's so new that I would be surprised if the TGL ratings are very good for these playoffs, because it's such a new league. It's the first year that they just don't have that much juice going for them. And it's right after the Players, which is a bit of a letdown. Like, we talked about that on one of the shows last week, where it was like, the Players is such a prestigious tournament and there's so much on the line. There was so much hype that it went to a playoff. Like, Rory McIlroy was involved, that then when you kind of jump to what the TGL is doing, what they're trying to do, it holds a lot less weight for people. So I'll be very interested to see how people feel about it overall.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the ratings will be. I can't imagine they'll be crazy good. I thought Monday Q actually put it perfectly. If you don't know Monday Q, you should. But he has been in the trenches for years and years and years now, building a brand around focusing on all the names in golf, like Alistair, like the Brian Campbell story, folks who are literally trying to Monday qualify into events and what that grind and what that life is like, and just kind of focusing on all that stuff. So he's a lot more of like, he was a very hardcore skeptic going in, being like, I thought this was going to absolutely suck. And he put it perfectly last night when he was tweeting. He said, it's not appointment TV for me, but it's much better than I expected it to be. And I truly do enjoy it when nothing else is on and I catch myself watching it. And last night was a great example for me. I had 2 TVs going. I was watching just a devastating comeback for the Vancouver Canucks to get 2 points against the New Jersey Devils. They scored with like 34.1 seconds left, I think. They're in an absolute battle with the St. Louis Blues, who are the best team in the NHL since the Four Nations, 12-2-2, won 6 games in a row. But Vancouver came back, got 2 points. I was watching those two things concurrently. I actually had the volume on TGL, not on the hockey game, just because I thought that the audio from TGL is kind of more interesting than just a general, hockey game. And I was into it. And the reason I was into it is a lot of like what we talked about the first couple weeks, which was Tiger was entertaining, Rory's entertaining. You want to see what these guys are like. But it really wasn't that competitive. That kind of took some of the fire away. I would say last night in round one of the finals, they are playing for like $9 million for the first place team, $4.5 million for the second place team. So it's a $4.5 million difference. And so there is some, I mean, that's pretty serious money on the line. The guys were into it. Billy Horschel had a huge putt on like the 12th hole or whatever it was, for 2 points to get it from down 4-2 to tied 4-4. And he went absolutely ballistic in a way that nobody could fake. Like, it was very real. And then the moments at the end. And now we got to a point, one of my big observations was that the hammer strategy has been, no pun intended, hammered out pretty properly and pretty accurately with the statistics by both teams that were in the finals, that it really makes the game interesting. Whereas the first month or so, hammer was used pretty much as like a crutch for entertainment. Tiger famously led the very beginning of his entire TGL career by just throwing a hammer. People are fast and loose with the hammer. They do the hammer graphics around the stadium. Everyone's laughing. They're loving it. The crowd's screaming the whole time, hammer, throw the hammer. And then, like anything, data and analytics start to take over, and the teams that are good understand like when you should and when you shouldn't hammer. And obviously, like it's come out now that if you're just very statistically likely to lose the hole or to win the hole, you don't throw a hammer because the other team's just going to deny it. And then instead of having a chance to get 2 points, your average point that you're going to gather there gets a lot closer to 1 than it does to 1.5 or 2. Now they're starting to get really good with the hammer, where they throw it in like just over 50-50 chances, so that you put the other team in a fucking blender. And it happened last night in the match where it was the Atlanta team was down 5-4 on the second to last hole, 14th hole, and the Atlanta team had like, I don't know, let's call it 2.5, 3 feet for birdie. And then the New York team, who was winning, had like 12 feet for birdie. And Ricky was the one putting. And the Atlanta guys threw the hammer. And Ricky and the New York guys said that the stats are saying we shouldn't take it. So instead of taking it and then having a putt where if Ricky makes that putt, they could either win the match or they're guaranteed to go into the last hole one up. They instead denied it, guaranteeing that the other team wins the hole, locks it in, and then they went to the last hole tied. So Ricky didn't even get to putt his like 11-footer for birdie, which was extremely interesting. And they were talking about the stats, and the stats and the analytics were saying like, yeah, it's definitely close. And like, you obviously want to have things in your control where Ricky has like an 11-foot putt for birdie or 12 feet or whatever it was. But the odds are that because the 2 points are so much greater than 1 point, and there's a chance we could be losing going into the last hole instead of just guaranteeing that we're tied, that it doesn't make sense. So my whole point in saying that is like the strategy became a huge part where like Ricky hits a great shot into a par 3. I think it was like Billy or somebody hits a great shot into a par 3. And then they didn't even putt the putts. One team just gave up the hole, which is fucking crazy and interesting to watch with $9 million in the line. Like the hammers have become a huge part of it is kind of what I was taking away, which is interesting. Like strategy being that big of a factor is very interesting.
Totally. Yeah. It's something that these guys have never been used to. I mean, even in their own matches that they play at home, this is not something that you really ever think about, like not taking putts and things being worth 2. So I do like this wrinkle, and I do like the fact that it adds strategy, especially for the viewer. Like it's almost like coaches' challenges and stuff in regular sports where, it could be debated for a long time. Did this team not utilize this challenge correctly? And stuff like that. So yeah, I do like that. It definitely adds a little bit of juice to the match. And it seems like last night was a pretty good, like in terms of intensity and wanting to make it feel like something. The guys definitely bought in. It was close, which is what they needed. And yeah, I like the 3-game series too. Like playing best of 3. They already won the first one. So, I really like it. I think it's a great first season, honestly. It hasn't really kept up the steam like you guys mentioned earlier, but I think it's exactly what they kind of wanted. I think it's that additive extra content, that extra entertainment. And yeah, they made their changes where they needed to, and I think it's in a pretty decent spot going into year 2. I really do think so.
When does it start back up? Is this the set season that we just got? Is it just going to be these are how the weeks go?
I think so.
It's a great question. I'm gonna say without knowing, yes. I mean, I think early 2026 is when they're going to fire it back up, and I'll be curious to see if the teams change, right? Like if I don't know if they sign guys to certain like terms in terms of the deals. I don't know if the players. I imagine most of the players that are on it were given equity because it is quite the overhaul for them. Like we travel a ton for work. We were just starting this show pre-show, being like, this is going to fucking suck that we're just like randomly adding out of the next couple of days a bunch of travel. It's cool once we get there, but just traveling a lot is a bummer. It's like it's you're away from your life or your wife or your friends or your home or wherever the hell you're away from. These guys already travel a ton, and when they do travel, they're on the road for weeks at a time, and then they chose to add, unless you live in Florida, which a lot of the guys don't, you're adding pretty crazy like cross-country travel a decent amount of the time on a Sunday night or Monday midday after you played an event and we're on the road all week to go fly down to Florida and then take a late flight on a Monday night or Tuesday night all the way back home to wherever that might be. It could be the Atlanta, it could be Dallas, it could be Scottsdale, it could be LA, Vegas, wherever it might be. So I would assume they were incentivized pretty seriously to be doing this with like, equity in the franchises and whatnot. So I guess just like that'll be kind of entertaining to see. Cause I remember in like the months leading up to TGL when they would just announce which player joined a team. I just could not have possibly cared less. Like I didn't even know what that meant. I was just like, all right, dude, like whatever. They're joining this thing that's a simulator league that we have. Is this really a thing? Their building like got knocked down by the wind, but like, did they do that on purpose for the insurance? Like, nobody really knew anything. And now I do think that there's a little bit of entertainment in that of like, how will the teams kind of unfold and whatnot. So yeah, I kind of agree. General synopsis, like, no, I don't think it's totally taken over the sports world. It's not like the new pickleball is for like just recreational sports for watching sports. It hasn't just like completely dominated out of nowhere. But I think for them, they got to view it as like a success. I think a good amount of people thought that like they wouldn't even get to the point where they do the finals. They would just be like, nope, we just can't sustain this anymore. So yeah, those are kind of my takeaways. And
what are they going to do at the SoFi Center for 9 months?
They got to turn that into like an event.
Can the boys go down there and just play? Like you got to monetize that thing in some way.
I agree, man. That thing is so cool, and every person I've talked to that has actually been there in person is completely in agreement of like, oh, dude, once you're there, it's absolutely awesome. So yeah, whether it's an event space, you rent it out to use it just as is for events, or dude, do like high school golf team tournaments in there, that are like maybe a little separate from the main standings, but you could do some cool ass shit with that spot.
Maybe do YouTube creator matches. We would go down there and play matches against people. Like, how fun would that be?
Dude, absolutely. With the hammer 100%. Strategy.
Right. Just have us be like, I think we've talked about it before, but just like have us have our own, maybe not a full league, but maybe like just during the off season when the regular guys aren't in there, fucking put us in there, put somebody in there.
It is funny. Like if they're not using that thing for TGL, which if you really add up the amount of hours that thing is used for TGL versus when it's just not used for anything, that's an amazing investment. It's just sitting there.
I wonder how expensive it is to run that thing like on event nights, and if the expenses only make sense to do it when they're getting like paid for broadcasting like events and stuff. Like you just start to open that thing up for like private events and people just like hitting into the screen, and you have the green moving and people throwing hammers and all those lights and shit. Like that could get real expensive real quick.
Yeah, the like per hour might be a premium,
Dude, the electric bill has to be astronomical to run that place.
Also, you can't have like drunk people. Like if you want to do like a bachelor party or something, or even like a work event, you can't have like the rotating green. There's some serious technology and some serious money that went into that. You can't have people out there like, oh, I spilled my gin and tonic on the green. It's like, we can't have that. We can't have that.
No. too much technology, man. It's like a little too risky. I don't know what the hell you do with that spot. They got to figure something out. It is a very valuable thing for people to roll in there. I mean, it is like you're going to a video game, like Alex Bush said. It's like when you go to these video game, whatever it's Call of Duty or whatever it is, like tournaments, that's what that thing feels like. It's sick.
I mean, they're gonna rent it out to like I could see like American Express having a huge like year-end party there or something. People that spend money at golf events, right, that are like pretty golf centric, big brands and companies will absolutely do some sort of like galas or things there where they'll rent it out for $150,000 and it'll be like worth the money. I just don't think Big Rob is gonna like put down his ham and cheese sandwich and meet me at the TGL because I rented it out on like an app. It's like, hey, we're going to the simulator tonight. Where's it at? It's at TGL. It's at the SoFi Center. I don't think that's going to be accessible, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, if they just rent it out and you could just have people hit into the screen, like you don't have to have them interact with anything else. Like people would rent it just for that because the screen is massive.
What if we did like a Barstool Classic Champions tournament in the TGL stadium?
Would be sick. That would be sick.
I'm trying to think, like if we did an event there, I don't know that the money would make sense, and I don't know how the hell but God, dude, if you did like you found some way to get, because you could only, right? I mean, with the match play version of it, I guess you could do some stroke play, but the match play version of it is so kind of what it was built for. You kind of need to limit it to like a certain number of people that can just play match play against each other. But man, you could film something pretty damn cool of people playing matches in there.
Yeah, it's really not built for it's not built for a big field though.
No, it's built for 6 people.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah,
a little bit tricky. It is tax season. It is that time of year. I'm sure you know. I'm sure it's crossed your radar. I would guess some of us are more confident than others when filing. I'm actually going to, I just know that. I know that some of us are more confident than others. I'm not particularly that confident. You can make it easy and go to TaxAct and file online. They have a service called Expert Assist with different levels of help from live tax experts. You go to taxact.com and get them over with. It's a no-brainer. Go to taxact.com to get them over with. Express Connect for those who have just one question. Express Review looks over your return before you file. And Complete Care for the ultimate peace of mind when filing. So once again, they've got a service. It's called Expert Assist, and they got all kinds of different levels of help from live tax experts. It's going to cater to precisely how much help you do or do not need. So once again, it's very important. It's a no-brainer to get this stuff done. Go to taxact.com to get them over with. Everybody knows the drill. You sign up for something, forget about it after the trial period ends, and then you are charged basically forever, month after month after month. The subscriptions are there, but you're not actually using them. You don't even know what subscriptions you have. Incredibly difficult to track. In fact, just learned that 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused every month. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and then cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has just been huge for my financial life.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff going on, especially for me, a lot of expenses that we got to kind of get under control. You got a child coming and things are just different. Like life changes. So it's like, I don't know what all these subscriptions are. You don't know what any of these things are that you have right now. Kind of tighten it all up when things like this and times like this in your life. You got to just be aware of what's going on in your financials. And it seems like it gets away from you really quickly. You're doing 1-week trials. They're renewing. Rocket Money sees it in your account, sees it off your credit card, sees it off your PayPal, sees it getting taken out of your, getting taken out of your bank account, and alerts you, hey, this thing was doubled up, tripled up. You have this. You don't use this anymore. You don't even use this app. It's so good, and it'll cancel it for you. I'm telling you right now, it's such an essential tool to your personal finance portfolio, the things that you need. Rocket Money is one of them.
Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/4 today. That's rocketmoney.com/4, rocketmoney.com/4. You guys see all this stuff about the pyramids that Kevin's been posting about?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I saw a little bit. There's something underground.
Yeah, like I think like in 2018 there was like a survey, like a topography survey thing that they did, that they sent these laser beams into the ground, and this was years ago. We're talking 6 years ago, right? 7 years ago. And they just got the data back, or they just released the data, is what they're showing people. And what they found were these like outrageous structures underneath the pyramids. I don't know what the validity of this is, and I'm not sure how legit it. Yeah, like are we saying that this is absolutely what's under there? I don't know. Like I don't know who this group is. It could just be AI for all we know. That's just messing with social media. But what they did find were these like outrageous structures with like compressing like spring systems, and like huge pillars that are holding up like massive areas of weight, and dispersing weight, and all of this stuff that's so advanced that like even just building the pyramid like breaks our brains of like how they were able to build up with all those huge blocks, right? Like obviously they say like it was like you just enslave a group of people and you can get anything done, but like they still like I don't know how you understand at that level of humanity to get like they were using moats, and like you ever see the video of how they think they did it with like water raising, and then they would do these levee systems and everything. It's fucking outrageous. Even that like doesn't really make sense. Like floating it to the top, stopping it, moving it over. It's ridiculous. Some people think they were giants back then, that they were putting them down. So you have all this, right? And just putting the blocks together is outrageous. Now, if this is true, the sophistication underneath the pyramid is what now people are saying is like impossible for where the world was at and where we think civilization was at, and like their mindset and what they knew and what they had access to. Impossible to build what we think is below there, or what was below there. So it went down for like a mile. That's how deep it went, like 2 kilometers.
It was multiple kilometers. Yeah, is what they. So now they're coming out like all the experts on the other side. Now that it's a week later, are saying there's like very little validity to this type of technology. The technology is not good enough yet, but the folks that reported it, have this claim to, and are using this like sophisticated new radar, like ground penetrating radar that several years ago they did this. Took them a while to kind of compile all the resorts and then or the reports, and then finally like put it into what their findings are. But Trent, it's like if the pyramids are like the size of this microphone here, then all the structure underneath would be like the size of a table underneath it, being like, holy, they're like, oh no, this is laughably different, to the point where, okay, let's say, and a lot of the belief was that, they've been able to justify in terms of trying to put off, and a lot of this is the what's the name of the guy's show? He's great, the Hancock guy. Is that his name? That's on
Graham Hancock?
Netflix, that does all the ancient.
Yeah, I think it's
does
Graham
all
Hancock.
Like, is
Graham
it ancient
Hancock.
civilizations?
He does all the ancient civilization thing, and his whole belief is that like our timeline is just way off, and our belief in how sophisticated society was a long time ago is way off, that it's not linear. It actually has been destroyed. Like these lost civilizations weren't just like, oh yeah, sticks and stones, and then eventually moved on to like the wheel, and then eventually moved on to car and horse. It's like no, they like really knew what they were doing and was able to like harness electromagnetism and all these things like thousands and thousands of years ago, that if they had a cataclysmic event that was either like the flood or a giant asteroid or an earthquake or a super volcano or whatever that just wiped everything out, we would never know unless some unbelievable structure somehow survived. And maybe that's kind of now what they have found. And so the experts are now coming out, and they're like, kind of Frankie said, their sort of theory the whole time has been, we get that it seems ridiculous to build these pyramids because of how heavy and all the limestone or whatever it was, but like you don't understand the scale of which how many people they had enslaved, that if you have just unlimited people forever that'll do, you could kind of do anything. And now we're coming out with this finding being like, there's no way that just typical technology that we understood from back then could have built this. Now I'm hearing like the experts coming out debunking this, saying this is like we're not finding this to be valid. My whole thing on it is like, if that's really down there, how don't they dig? Don't archaeologists just fucking dig? Haven't they been digging for thousands?
This is
and
the
thousands
issue.
of years?
Is like we have all these problems and all of these debates and all of these like theories and conspiracies, and then like we preserve the history and just continue the conspiracies and the theories. But like, just go if you really need to find. Like, I think most normal people would be like, just go dig it. Like, go dig a hole a mile long and just like figure it out. Right?
I don't
Like,
know.
just figure it all out.
I think that would probably piss a good portion of the people who like. There's probably some sacredness to that land and where those people live. That it's
Isn't it like a Starbucks.
It's very
there now?
American
Isn't
to be
there
like, let's just dig
Starbucks
that thing
at
up.
The Great Pyramid. I want
It's
to
not
say
American. It's like it's just it's like human. Like, you just want to know. Like, if the answer is that humanity has been like wiped out before, like at that point, like all rituals and everything just go to the side, and you're like, we need this answer for our own well-being as our own civilization, because now it's like this could happen to us. That's a legit like world issue.
Wait, there's something connected to this that we think like, oh, you're saying like that something happened to kill everybody?
I mean, that would be like the beginning of that conversation, where it's like, if there's the Burj Khalifa underneath the pyramid that they like built, a mile long tower in the years whatever, something BC, 3000 BC. It's like, well, of course they had way more technology than we think. And like, there was this outrageous civilization that we just can't even comprehend that lived X amount of years ago and clearly was wiped away, and all of their technology and findings is no longer available to us because of whatever event. That's like what I think the basis of a lot of these guys are trying to find, is saying like what Riggs was saying. Like, there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of like different civilizations that have like been there before and done this. They've made iPhones and they've flown planes and they've like, nipped wedges close to pins, and like maybe they've done things differently than us, but like we would never know any of this stuff. You know what I mean? It's an interesting theory. It's just like, my thing's like, if it's that important, you gotta dig. We do crazy shit on this earth, We're like dropping bombs everywhere. It's like, just fucking find out the answer to this whole thing. Let's find the answer.
That's my takeaway when they're like debating whether it's. I'm like, dude, no, you're saying it's there now. So just go,
go find it.
Fucking look. Let's just go look now. It might be impossible to dig or whatever. I don't know how hard that is, but yeah, Trent. I think the kind of the theory is like, if you're telling us that something that advanced was built that long ago, there's just no way that we could have lost all of that technology and had to start over unless something incredibly devastating happened to wipe those people out to where everybody had to start over from scratch. So if that's what happened, we need to figure that out, like what the hell happened, because there's no way to connect.
This is what they're claiming is underneath these like pulley systems and like spring systems holding up like a whole civilization. Like,
but isn't like, all right, so I don't know if any of that's real. That'd be nuts. Those are just a bunch of screws under the Great Pyramid. But it seems like that technology you guys were describing before, that LiDAR basically is like what they did at Lido Beach for the golf course. Like, it's a more advanced version of that. Why, I guess, is it's not coming from a reliable source? Is that's what it is? Because if like, then you can have your cake and eat it too, where it's, you don't have to dig up the Great Pyramid and we get the answer.
Like, they're like, well, there could have been like a world under that. Like, these were just like their towers. You know what I mean? Like, we're acting like
it would be tough if you did start to dig it out and it's not there. You'd be like, oh,
it'd be tough, but it's like a couple feelings get hurt. It's like, all right, like we found the answer.
Yeah, I would rather that than just people arguing back and forth.
Like, I don't think you're never going to stop you arguing. If that's what the goal is, you're never going to get the answer that's going to, because there's always the thing, especially with the pyramid, and it kind of goes to everything, but the pyramid is such a hot topic that every conspiracy, people just want to believe that. I think you could dig to the center of the earth and find the bottom, and people would be like, well, what's in there? And I just don't think
100%.
That's like, I don't know what answer you're actually looking for.
The thing for me, and I know that there are people that find it extremely, extremely like historical and spiritual. There's got to be a group, right? But like, you look at what Egypt has turned into, and you see there's like a Starbucks. There's a Starbucks outside the pyramid. Have you guys ever seen what the aerial view of the pyramids have turned? It is the biggest tourist attraction. It's
Well,
a
then it'd be
Disney
like-
ride. So
it'd be
like
like,
at
all
this
right,
point, it's like let's just find the answer to these things. If we're like commercializing it, I mean, fucking Mr. Beast rented it out for a YouTube video for like 24 hours. Did you guys see that YouTube video? It did like 1 billion views. He was just lived
But-
inside the fucking pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Giza.
I love that.
It's like,
But that's an argument for getting rid of all of the world's great relics. Like, take down the Colosseum and find out what's under there. Tear that sucker down. Bring a ball in there, knock it down.
are
and
there
find out what's under
questions
there.
though about that? As much
I'm
as
sure there are. I'm
Maybe,
sure you can find
maybe.
that.
I mean, they
Like,
kind of
yeah, but
have with the fucking
That
Colosseum.
argument I don't like. I don't like being like, let's just tear it all down so we can find out if there's something under it.
No, I agree with you. We're not tearing shit down.
I'm
But
not
I
saying
just got to
tear it
think
down.
with technology today. Elon's catching fucking spaceships that are landing like it's a basketball net.
That's what
So
I was
my
saying. You can
point
have your
is, like,
cake and eat it too. You can
There's
get
got to
that
be
radar
technology,
shit.
Right.
non-invasive,
Yes.
like way to find out. But yeah, no, I like to believe that like there is some crazy story to it, and I'm sure there's not. Right? Like we want there always to be this like Cinderella type, like cartoonish type. Oh my God, this is insane. How have we been living amongst this and we didn't know? I'm sure that that's not the reality. Like if these pyramids were the tops of huge, monuments, like the George Washington Monument or something, and we've always acted like those are just the structures, but they're really just the tips of them, would be so insane to think. But also like you could actually wrap your head around how that could be. You know what I mean? Like they're just the things that are still that are only visible. I don't know. People are probably pulling their hair out listening to this because we have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. But really, no one does, which is what the basis of this whole debate even started.
So the the debunking responses that have come out. This one says, however, Egyptologist and historian Flora Anthony wasn't buying into the hype. Something seemed off. So I looked up the original source, read through it, realized the paper had nothing to do with the images or claims being shared in the media. Turns out the article isn't peer reviewed. Someone familiar with the journal where the report was published said they published quickly and aren't established in the field, which matters since peer review is important. And then goes on to say the people behind this aren't scientists. One is a UFO researcher who believes aliens are interdimensional parasites that hijack human souls. The other writes conspiracy books about a lost pre-dynastic Egyptian civilization and recently promoted a so-called harmonic investigation of the Great Pyramid using a technology claims to have patented. Now, I will say anytime somebody's ever come up with big discoveries, they've always been considered pretty crazy if people try to like debunk them. So that was kind of my point in digging is like they're going to go back and forth. But you're absolutely right, Trent. No matter what what happens if they do dig and they find something, people are still just going to go back and forth and bicker and argue about it forever. But I just want to see what's actually really down there because when I first saw these images, like Frankie just showed, those giant spirals or wells or whatever the hell they are claiming to be, Trent, are like 5 times bigger than the biggest pyramid, according to their thing. So it's like
there
would
it's
have to
outrageous.
be this unbelievably large chamber under the ground with all of these gigantic for that to be true that they're claiming is true. It wasn't like they're just this interesting little thing. It was like the scale of it would have taken, it'd be impossible to have built back then. So anyways, I saw Kevin covering a lot of this and it made me, I was very perplexed by the whole thing for a while.
Yeah. And also, I mean, to the point of like, you can't just tear everything down. Like when I was, and I said this to you guys when I was at Riggs's apartment, when we were out in Scottsdale, but like with all those cranes, when you go to Florence in Italy, when you're in Florence and you're looking at the skyline, you get a nice rooftop restaurant. Our hotel had a beautiful, beautiful view of the whole entire city, all of the domed churches and all these beautiful structures. And then you had this huge crane right in the middle of it. It's the Uffizi. It's where you could see like Leonardo da Vinci, all of these Da Vinci's, like these his first ever painting. Amazing stuff. Like really an amazing museum. And there's this huge crane right in the middle of it. And it's so ridiculous. And you ask someone like, what is that doing there? Like, what kind of work are they doing there? And they're like, this crane has been here for like 29 years in that same spot because we keep, every time they make a move, they find something that like archaeologists then will like throw a permit on it. And then they have like 2 years to then like siphon through all of like the stuff. Like, so like if this crane moves an inch and rubble comes up, they're able to like throw a permit on it and say like, we have to now inspect that rubble. And it keeps going on and on and on. And whoever approved this deal in the first place didn't realize that they'd be finding all of these stuff. Like they wanted to fix a sidewalk. Like, you know what I'm saying? They wanted to fix like something so like I'm not sure what the original plan was, but it was something that they did not anticipate taking 30 years now. And they can't move the crane. There's all these laws and like whatever it is. It's the historical groups that are like, you cannot move anything now. Because if you move that crane, you might find the bones of an emperor or something. Like now it's just there. It's crazy. And I don't think there's any plans to ever move it. I don't know how, like they have to like take it apart, but then there's like a law against that. I'm like, why don't you just take it piece by piece at this point? Like you got to take this thing apart and like they can't touch it. It's blocked off by a wall. It's nuts. So yeah, we're never going to get the answer. Not in our lifetime. That's for sure. Unless like the pyramids open up and like Joe Biden's soul comes out of it or something. Like we're not going to know. Ooh. We're not going to know anything. That we need something outrageous to happen for us to be like, that's the answer in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, I do find like, dude, that type of stuff should be preserved. I like, dude, when there's reports of like, you know, ISIS and terrorist groups that are going through the Middle East and they're just going into museums and just burning everything to the ground and destroying stuff. That stuff like hurts me. It's like as much as anything where you're just like, no, because it's like, dude, it's kind of all you got is like what people create and what people try to leave behind when they're here on this planet. And so digging back deep into like, what were they doing? What were they trying to showcase? What were the people trying to accomplish thousands and thousands of years ago is incredibly fascinating. And like, you know, when you were in Italy, it's like that place is beautiful with the landscape and everything, but it appears to be a million times more beautiful because of all the, you know, artistic creativity that everybody, not all these insanely talented people over hundreds and
100%.
thousands of years like put into it. It's like,
I think the devil's advocate side of that would be though, like people are trying to unveil more work that people had left behind. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's like there is there's an issue there where it's like we're not trying to destroy this thing. We're trying to actually expose more greatness of past civilizations and people. The work of just, you know, things that would blow your mind, but we can't see it. So yeah, it's an interesting topic, that's for sure. It's definitely grabbing the attention of everyone on social media.
Oh yeah. People are all over it. All right, something we haven't done in a while, a little closest to the pin action. It's been a while. We're gonna have to get an update from Mr. Alex Bush on the points. The most recent one that we did, I don't even really fully recall the last one we did, but closest to the pin might have been 3 weeks or so. Closest to the pin is presented by Tax Act. It's a no-brainer. Go to taxact.com to get them over with. That is taxact.com to get them over with. They got a great service called Expert Assist with different levels of help from live tax experts. So go to taxact.com to get them over with. Bushman, how are we looking on the closest to the pin action?
Good. The last one was Cognizant Week. So three weeks ago, I believe.
Mr. Highsmith.
So the
Joe Highsmith.
First one was number of water balls at the Bear Trap. Shout out Justin Ray for getting this number. There were 76.
Low.
Okay.
And I was closest with 71.
What were our other guesses?
Riggs had 69. He was close to. And then Trent and Frankie, 88, 108.
Okay. Shout out to Justin Ray.
Yep. That I remember that one. I actually was trying to track that when I was watching it, and they were talking about how no one was hitting it into the water because of how easy the Cognizant was playing. It was like the talk of the town. That has to have been like the lowest amount ever.
That's weird.
Remember those guys were torching the golf course. They were literally going into interviews being like, this is too
Jake
easy.
Knapp shot a 59 out there.
Jake Knapp shot 59.
I don't know.
Did not hit the water.
What makes a golf course that much easier? Like what was the Honda Classic?
No wind.
Just the wind. That's it. Like it wasn't. They didn't set up the golf course any differently.
I think especially with water, dude. If there's no wind, like the only way these guys hit errant shots into the water is if the ball does something that they didn't anticipate, which would be like a gust of wind or just like being able to like understand, like the JJ Spawn situation. Knowing that there's wind, but like not being able to execute the ball through the wind because it's not exactly what you practice on the driving range or what you know. So I do think that like in that part of Florida at that time, it's typically a pretty windy, brutal golf course. The way that those holes are set up are typically into like the historical wind is always like into the face or or like blowing towards the wind, towards the water. And like, I just think that all of that stuff was just dead. There was nothing, and they were just firing darts.
We watched Dalkey hit shots into that par 3, and it was windy as shit. I had
He was
to
hitting
hit
driver into it.
I might have hit a
Dude.
driver into that hole.
I remember when we did the match against them, and that hole was like, I think it was like 178 or something straight into, and playing like 210. People were trying to hit like low missile 3 irons. People were hitting 3 woods. And if you just didn't hit it perfectly, it goes in the water. If that's 178 without wit, that's like a 7 iron or an 8 iron for those guys. They just hit in the middle of the green. So it's like,
all right.
I guess that makes a huge difference. But yeah, that course is not easy. You know, it's a hard golf course. I think historically there's been some really high scores there. So nice win there, Bush.
And then next was, will there be an ace at 15 or 17? Was no. So Riggs and Frankie got 2 there.
Dang,
we
took
go.
a gamble there.
Trent, I went on a limb, but
I know.
nothing.
We tried. We tried.
Third was the date that Ovi breaks the record, so we're still waiting on that. And
how's that tracking, by the way? I have no idea.
He's what,
He's 7 away.
6 or 7? 7?
I'll tell you what, the New York Islanders game against him, which is like the second to last or third to last game, tickets are already going crazy because even if he's 3 away going into that, you're still going to start to attend these games with the idea that, you know, he gets 2 in the first 2 periods, Islanders pull the goalie or something. Like, there's a chance. Hat tricks are always on the table.
That's what Riggs picked.
It's at UBS.
You gonna go?
Dude, I think we're like not here. I think we're either like in Georgia or the Master. Like, I don't know.
Well, if it's in April, you're not going to be home.
6th, I think.
Yeah, dude. I think we're. Let me look.
No, we're gone. April.
Yeah,
I'm going to be home like 2 days.
We're going from Georgia trip to Masters.
April 6th. Yep. Which is, it's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's in 6 games, right? And he's like 7 away. Like, it could happen. He could score a couple goals in these next couple games, come into that thing at 2 or 3 remaining. And, you know, it's a 12:30 game on a Sunday too. It just feels like an over, like going to take over the whole weekend, a matinee. Speaking of the Islanders, did you guys see this goaltender interference last night?
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are we doing with this sport? All right. I'm all for technology. Find the fucking things under the pyramids. I get it. I want all the technology in the world, especially if you have it. I'd say this with baseball too. Like, why are we still arguing balls and strikes? But then we're finding out if this ball hit the line by a millimeter, by a freaking pussy hair.
I saw they're testing those. I saw they're testing those in one of the leagues, and I think they should bring that thing up. People like it.
They're doing it now in spring training. You see
That's
Juan
right.
Soto, you get to challenge it. You touch your hat, and you get 2 challenges like a game.
That's happening as soon as they can like implement it.
All right, so here's my point. So now goalie interference is becoming this thing where it's like it's half intention. So if the ref thinks that there was intent to interfere with the goalie, he can make the call on the ice. And then when they review it, there's not enough like Toronto, which Patrick Waugh said, if Toronto's afraid to overturn these calls, it shouldn't go to Toronto. Like, they need to figure out a new process. Like,
Right.
They're not able to like overturn the call because they can't overturn his thinking of intent. So Kyle Palmieri last night, the Islanders are playing the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets are only 2 points behind the Islanders. The Islanders are only 2 points out of a playoff spot. You got the Islanders, you've got the Rangers, you've got the Blue Jackets, you've got Montreal, all playing for this final spot. And it's the biggest game of the year. The Islanders were playing great. They dominated in the first period, the whole deal. Kyle Palmieri, the Italian Long Island kid, tips one in with 8 seconds left to win the game. Place went nuts. That all of a sudden the ref immediately says no goal. Kyle Palmieri was giving him the Italian hands. Are you fucking kidding me? He wanted to slash his freaking neck off. I've never seen him so mad. You watch the video. Here's the thing, and I'm not going to talk about Islanders the whole entire time. He comes from behind the net to the front of the net, and the goalie initiates the contact. So where is goalie interference going, right? Like, is it like, oh, I'm going to push you out of the way and now I can't reset? Like, that's not goal. That's not what the word means. You're not interfering with anything. He's interfering with you. And
he wasn't in the crease.
He wasn't in the crease, and goalies are now using it as a crutch. Like, I actually talked to some of the players after the game, and they're like, it's becoming crazy. Like we're seeing when we're out there, like, goalies are like leaning on us to then potentially get the call reversed. Like, it's becoming part of like their save is to like create some sort of contact now. You know, like it's very bizarre. It's like a new age thing now that because the rule has this loophole, if you have chaos around you, you can just throw your body into people and the puck goes in the net and you're like, goal interference. Like what's happened to our beautiful game?
It's ridiculous. I agree with you. I mean, look, I was always an offensive type player, so you get into it with goalies, and there's a fine line where you're trying to screen goalies. You're trying to get as close to them as they can, bother them without touching them. And if they touch you, it is so split second, and you just can't really tell which way it looks. That's why they have the crease, and the crease rule has changed over the years forever. It used to be like when Brett Hull famously scored the Stanley Cup winning goals for the Dallas Stars.
He was in the crease.
It to knock out Dominic Hasek and the Buffalo Sabres, who were the best team to root for if they weren't yours. Hasek was the dominator, was the most electric goaltender of all time, but he wore a player's face mask. But yeah, so the crease.
Trent, you haven't seen this
now.
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm looking at,
now,
but I'm on your side.
The point of it is basically if you're in the crease, you're affecting the goaltender's ability to make the save. But if you're not in the crease, then the goalie can't come out to you and get interfered with. So I'm with you, Frankie. I thought that was
you're watching this right now. Goalie,
I'm watching it. So
that
Kyle
to me just
looks
comes from behind the net. Goalie taps him. I got my sister-in-law texting our fam group chat in this.
Yeah,
goalie taps him. He moves away, so goalie gets to reset. Watch this. Goalie makes contact,
bang,
moves away, resets, tips it in. Where is their interference of
that
the
looks like
save?
a goal to me. And
what does the word mean?
Anytime the word intent is in a rule, it gets dicey. We've seen that over the years in every sport. Where is it with anchoring? Where if you ask somebody, is your intent to anchor?
And it's golf and intent is like a whole. You could write a book about it.
That's what I mean. You would hope that a rule, if someone's writing a rule book, you got to do everything you can to weed out the word intent, because when you say intent, you're just asking for people to be upset and debating it. So
I know a little bit more about the situation. After the game, I was told that ref was all over Palmieri the whole game, saying, get out of the crease, get away from the goalie, in his ear. And he thinks that it carried over into that play. And he's that's where he's the intent was just you didn't like the way I was playing this game. You thought that I was I was infringing on the rules the whole game. So that carried over into this decision, which cannot happen. That's what you're saying, Trent, where intent is now it's just the way that ref felt about that one player. They may have been jawing at each other. They were telling each other to go fuck themselves, whatever it was. That to me is where you draw. And this is the difference between playoffs and not. So for anyone listening that doesn't like when I talk Islanders, this is 2 points with 10 games left in the season against a team that is now tied with us. This is insanely big point. That was a 2 point. That was to win in regulation. That was everything. So,
dude.
Sucks ass.
Yeah, horrible.
Oh man! And after the game, dude, that was my first game being there after Brock got traded, and seeing the boys after, and just usually Brock would come out in that little smirk. He'd be wearing that maroon suit or sometimes that green suit. And I love all the guys still on the squad. You got my guys Barzy and Anders and all those guys, Kyle Palmieri, Horvat, the whole team. Love every single one of them. But Brock was, there was something about it, and it was sad. It was real sad. Not they're all coming out and they have that kind of look on, and you're just waiting for Brock to come out. He was always in that full suit, holding that coffee, just damn, dude.
Brock Nelson
nice
walked
shootout
through that
goal
door
the other
man.
night.
He's playing great. He's playing great. That's a high octane offense. You want to talk about a different game that man's playing. He goes from the Islanders to Colorado. My God, Kyle McCarr is going to score 30 goals this year.
I know it's complicated for you, Frankie, but I'm rooting hard for the Avs to win a Stanley Cup.
I'm sure.
Hard.
Yeah, man.
We did that video with the Avs. The guys that we did that video with are legitimate superstars. Cale Makar could go down as the greatest defenseman of all time one day.
I know.
And I know that people are not going to like that with Bobby Orr and all these guys that put up all the stats and shit. But the guy's about to score 30 goals in this NHL is crazy. Back in the day, defensemen were scoring 50. Paul Coffey put up 50 goals, 60 goals. It was just a different game.
I will say, as a guy who's not plugged into hockey at all, the name Cale Makar does come across my desk every once in a while. I'm I think think we played a hockey match with that guy, or
Well,
a golf
he-
match with that guy.
Landeskog
He
is
might-
the captain, like lifted the cup. Like
Makar might be the most game impactful player in the league. Like I think Connor McDavid
Yeah.
is clearly the best player in the league, but with defensemen, how much they impact the game, how much they're on the ice, and what he's able to do to change the offense and then also dominate on defense, dude, like him and Taze are special. Like they just dominate games. So yeah, it is wild when he showed up too. Hockey guys are so different than a lot of other athletes. Like you just wouldn't even notice if you walk by him on the street, Kale McCarr. Like,
and I
and
guess
then he's
Taze
out
is
there
good too, but it is what it is.
dominating the NHL. Taze is great.
All right. So what are the next points here? Because we don't have a point for that one.
No point for that one. Yeah. Last one was combined scores for all three of you guys at Pebble. It was
Oh, boy.
263, and I won with 266.
Oh, what were our guesses?
Trent 269,
Okay.
Frankie 272, Riggs 255.
Those are some good guesses.
Wow, I
Actually,
thought that I was gonna get that one. I really thought it was in the 270s. It wasn't, huh? Because Riggs played great. I played shitty.
Yeah.
I shot like an 87.
I shot 98.
It was 87, 98, 7. What was it, Riggs?
I think it was 78.
Because when I did the math, yeah, the Riggs really
263.
threw
I'm
it
just
off. 'Cause
double checking myself.
When I did the math, like when I was guessing, I put in like a 103 for Trent, an 85 for me, and like an 85 for Riggs. So that definitely,
Yeah.
like me and Trent were close to ours, but Riggs was way lower.
See, I
Damn.
thought both of you guys would be a little lower. I didn't think I was would be that low, but I thought I'd shoot like
No.
low 80s, something like that.
I did
This
my
is a
math,
little-
except you guys were flipped. Riggs
This is
and
like niche, like golf hardo stuff that people don't really relate to unless you have like multiple shafts and stuff. But like I'm in a shaft issue right now. There might be some people that deal with this. That
Somebody
you've
likes
gotten
a
like
shaft
fitting.
issue, yeah.
I'm gonna have a shaft issue. I have a shaft issue, a real bad shaft issue. And yeah, no, we got fitted, and like you can watch the video and we go to the Kingdom, and it's amazing. The clubs are unbelievable. The actual club heads, I absolutely love the feeling of them, the lightness of them, carbon, the
Shaft
whole
and the head
deal.
issue. Yeah.
The shaft right now, I got switched to this blue Ventus TR, and I really loved the look. I'd been in the red Ventus for like 5 years, and I'm like, I don't want to hit this candy stick anymore. Like, there's something about the look of it. I can't. I've hit it with Tiger. I've done the whole thing. I want to retire it. And I hit it great. I had the best year of my life golfing last year. It got down to like a 4.3. At one point, it was like a 3.9. Now I'm creeping back up to like a 5.5. It's like I'm hitting these duck hooks. I step up to a tee and I don't feel confident. It feels heavy. The shaft feels heavy, even though it's not like weighted. It's just the way that like the stiffness is. This feels heavy. So I'm making a change. I'm going back to the red just for the next couple of rounds. We got big matches coming up. So I got to play a couple times this week before this Chicklets video and just see, like, before this, I got to play the next couple days, like, see how I can just get back to that confident stroke again. And I'm sure people have dealt with this in the game of golf that are listening to this, where it's like you try and make a change, and that old shaft was the one, man. Like, why don't fix it if it ain't broke?
We need you, because you are right. We have a couple of huge matches coming up.
You guys know how I was hitting my 5-wood and my 3-wood last year. Remember when we went to freaking Stream Song and I hit that 3-wood 270 onto the green like 6 times when we were doing reverse mulligans?
Oh yeah,
on a string. I switched that shaft
I do.
to like a blue Ventus, and like I can't get it up in the air now. So I'm like, why would I change the club that was literally I couldn't miss the delta of like 5 feet wide.
I mean,
Yeah.
we almost permanently lost myself and Trotty because of that moment. Like we just kept shotgunning beers, and you just kept hitting it on the green.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit to what we were saying, on a completely different level, but it's tinkering. You're like, I think I can get better here. And, you go to the Kingdom and they definitely show you the numbers, and you're hitting it the way you're hitting it that day. You're like, all right, let's switch it out. But then you got to look at the body of work from, honestly, for you, the last 2 years, where you've just been like the best golfer in the group. Like, it's been unbelievable. So I think, I understand like you wanting, like, you're like, all right, let's do something here, because I obviously want to get better. So if this is going to make me get better than I already am, let's do it. But if you don't see those results, I think you just go back to the old one.
There's something about when you get fit and you're really going after it, and then you start to like hold these numbers. And I think it's like it's a lesson for when you do get fit to like really have it in the back of your mind of how you're swinging that day. Because like if you're swinging abnormally well, or like you're swinging harder than you typically would on an actual tee box or when you're playing golf. Like there's things that like I was doing there, going for certain numbers, and I know that makes me better. If I can unlock that on the golf course, I will be a better golfer. But right now, the way I'm swinging, when I go to Colonial and like it's the first tee and I'm really not warmed up and I just want to bunt one out there, like this new shaft, like I need to fucking swing as hard as I can, because the way that it's built, I can let it go all the way out left and it'll never go left. It'll always come right if I just really go after it. That's the way that they built it for me. It's awesome. It's got all this weight offset on the left side of the actual driver head. But dude, like when I get out there at like 9 o'clock in the morning and I just want to bunt one out there, it's a duck hook into the shit. And I'm like, well, what? Like I kind of miss that like old comfortable swing. Now that's not progression. That's like stagnant. That's stagnant golf. That's staying where you are. That's not trying to get better. So it goes against what we were trying to do at the Kingdom. It's like, let's get better today. Let's put you in equipment that will make you a better golfer. You'll hit it further. You'll be more penetrating. Balls will fly off the club face more. You're going to get that kind of turn. And I'm like looking for that comfort zone again, which is that's a sign into my mentals where I'm like, I want that cushion. I want that fallback.
What does the golf rule book say on bringing an extra shaft with you?
Yeah, you can't change it once you
can't change it once you're out there. I was thinking, maybe on like the 7th hole, you're like, all right, I'm warmed up. Let's put that other shaft on this driver.
My guy Cal Clutterbuck famously at Glen Oaks, like I remember I was beating Cal Clutterbuck in a match at Glen Oaks like 3 or 4 years ago, and he went to his car and changed out his shaft after 9 holes and came back and drove like 3 greens and like went like he shot like a 31 on the back and beat me. And I was like, that's just, I don't think that's allowed ever.
Hardcore golf nerd stuff to be like, just give me a second. I'm going to change. Everybody's getting a hot dog, a beer, a shot. I'm going to go change my shaft at the turn. Watch this.
Just muttering to himself as he drives the cart into the parking lot. Like, I got it.
It is, look, there's clearly something to this. Like Rory did it a few weeks ago where he had the guy Uber his old woods to him because he's like, look, I understand. All the numbers are great. I'm on the range.
I don't know if we talked about it.
I don't know if we did either. But like, point being, real quick, getting fit is great. It's gonna improve everybody. I think it's psychotic to get any clubs off the shelf and not just get them fit, because there's such a big difference between changing weights here, changing lying there, all that. But there's also something very clear to like when you truly just trust something. There is a reason that we talk all the time about the hardest thing in the world is to bring your range game to the golf course and to bring it to the golf course under pressure. So when you just have something that has worked under pressure that you just like, I mean, from Frankie to Rory McIlroy, sometimes you're like, guess what, man? I understand all the numbers on the range. I'm in a fortunate position where I have options. I'm going to go with what I have hit phenomenally under pressure before, and then we'll get to this part with all the new stuff because it is awesome and the new whatever. But clearly there's something to just being like, I love this stuff, and I know it worked under pressure for me, so I'm going to go to it. That's what that guy just did, and it worked.
Yeah, like we did that video with Tiger Woods, and I got that red Venta shaft, new QI35. It was the core head. They handed it to me, never really swung it, piped one right down the middle in front of Tiger Woods. Then like the next week we went to the Kingdom, and I'm like, I want a new shaft. And I'm like, why would I do that? Like what do you like? Why did I make that change? Like they were even saying to me in the beginning, like, oh, like you want like a different aesthetic look. Let's try and find you something different. And then we fought to get into it. I was swinging way faster than I ever would, going after it, blisters, bleeding. Like, I'm not doing that shit. We'll see. So long story short, I'm switching back to the red Ventus QI35 core head. I'm back. I'm out of the LS. I'm back. I'm just bringing the driver that I hit in front of Tiger Woods. You want to ask me strategy? The one that I hit in front of Tiger Woods is the one I'm using. Sorry.
I think that's a really sound strategy right there. That's going to win. That's going to be a winner for almost everybody ever. Yeah. The one I flushed in front of Tiger Woods is the one I'm going to. Mm-hmm.
All right. We got close to the pin this week now?
Yeah, the Riggs will have it today, but the update for the standings, we got myself and Riggs with 11, Frankie 9, Trent 8.
Yeah. Wow. That no hole in one was huge. That was 2 points, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. What about like Beef? Is Beef played enough to be on the list?
Yeah, I think he was in once, but he has 2 points. Beef Francis 2, Jerry, Kyle Timms 1. Couple appearances for each.
Oh, yeah. Timms was on. I remember that.
Yeah.
All right. Closest to the pin this week, brought to you by Tax Act. First couple are a little March Madness action. We're going to continue following the Hogs.
Yes.
Arkansas, I think it's Texas Tech, I think that they're playing on Thursday evening. They are 5.5 point underdogs, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. 5.5 plus 5.5 is what they're at. What will the spread of the game be compared to that? So if Arkansas, wins by 1, if Arkansas loses by 4, then that would be plus 1.5. See what I'm saying? So you don't have to. You just trying to pick what is the game is starting with Arkansas is down 5.5 points. What will the final spread be compared to that?
So the spread off the spread, essentially.
Yeah,
this makes me
we're
want
moving. We're moving 0 to 5.5.
And what do we think the final
spread will be? Well,
are we just asking what we think the losing score to the winning score difference is at the end? Is that what we're looking for?
But the problem is then you would have to choose which team wins, so that would make it hard versus, you know what I'm saying? Like versus now it's just
I'm throwing a number in because I don't get it.
That's fine. That's the beauty of the game. You know,
nobody that might be.
Are we throwing halves in there?
Can't? No.
I think you have to because it's 5.5.
You can,
so you kind of have to.
Probably have to get it on to get it spot on.
Another day.
Oh.
Are we putting this in? Which chat are we putting this in?
The main one, or
okay. I just want to be sure.
I don't know, man. This is gonna explode. I think I have a doctor's appointment.
Frankie's so confused.
I have a doctor's appointment to figure out if I am okay because
No, I don't disagree. It is confusing. I was just trying to do it in a way where you could have just one universal number line instead of having to be like, I think Arkansas is going to win, but you know what I mean?
Couldn't it just be what we think the winning team, regardless of who it is, what the winning team is going to win by? Isn't that essentially what we're doing? Why is it different? That's what I just did.
Because then you don't have to pick the winner. And this, you also have to pick the winner, kind of. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. Because if you just pick the spread and you pick the team wins by 5, it could be either way.
Yep,
either winner.
I get it.
All right. So Riggs plus 1.5, Frankie plus 3.5, Trent plus 2.5, Alex plus 11.5.
Wow.
So you
explain
guys are
to
all
me
picking Arkansas to lose.
Yeah, I picked Arkansas to lose by 3.
So I'm the only one who picks them.
Right, I picked them to lose by.
The only one who believes. It's okay.
Frankie picked them to lose by 1.
Listen, they're the underdogs for sure.
Okay.
That is true.
Second one. Second one's a little easier, everybody. Second one's
I
a little
thought I
easier.
picked them to win by 3. Go ahead.
No, you picked it off of the minus 5.5.
Right. Yep. No, I definitely get it.
Right. Definitely get it.
Nope, I understand.
Sweet 16. What will the closest game by point difference be? So will there be a game that's decided by 1 point? Will there be a game decided by, it's like, what will be the closest be? If you don't think there's going to be a single game decided by 1, a single game decided by 2, the closest game will be 3 points and pick 3.
Okay.
And we'll just see which one's the closest.
This is just for the Sweet 16?
Just for the Sweet 16. So, 8 games? Is that right?
Yes, that math would check out. All right, Frankie 1, Riggs 2, Alex 2, Trent 2.
Whoa!
All right.
Wow.
That'd be one game with a buzzer beater.
No 1 point game. We win.
True. And we could get 2 points if we get on 2. That'd be nice.
All right.
Okay, third one. Rory and Scotty are both in the field this week.
Mm-hmm.
What will the combined finishing position be of Rory and Scotty? Ties don't matter. So if they're T3, that's just a 3, and you add that to whatever the other guy finishes.
So if one finished 11th, one other finished 3rd, the number would be 14.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay.
All right, so 14.
No. Maybe I will.
Pretty good guess, honestly.
So 3.
All right.
All right. Trent 14. Frankie 7, Riggs 7, Alex 9.
Shit.
You did do it.
Damn. All right, we're rooting for both guys to be up there. That would be very fun this week. Last one, sticking with the Houston Open. Very simple. What will the winning margin be at the Houston Open for the winner? So you could play off, by the way, could be a choice. And then it's just 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3 strokes, 4 strokes. The betting odds, and we'll shout again to little DraftKings Sportsbook. 1 stroke is plus 210. 2 strokes is plus 350. Playoff is also plus 350. 3 strokes is plus 600. And then 4 more strokes is plus 350.
I did not
So
know
just-
that bet existed, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Isn't that a great
That's
bet?
incredible.
I was going through
I
just
really
the tournament
like that.
props. I know. I know.
Wow.
Might bet that.
Right.
All right. Frankie 1, Alex 2, Riggs 2, Trent 2.
Whoa.
Okay.
Wow.
So the basketball and golf, I got the 1. You guys
Yeah.
got the 2s.
Yeah.
That's a huge opportunity. You could get a bunch of points there.
I could.
All right.
I just need something tight like a tiger.
That's the closest to the pin this week. Ordering official state lottery tickets has never been easier thanks to JackPocket, America's #1 lottery app. Powerball, Mega Millions, state games like Pick 3 or Pick 4, you name it, they've got it. The JackPocket lottery app is great because you can order tickets whenever you want right on your smartphone. You can also scratch them. If you do scratch tickets, you can scratch them on the JackPocket app, which is a very fun, very satisfying experience. New customers, you'll get your first ticket free with code GOLF. Okay, so that is code GOLF, GOLF, for your first lottery ticket on JackPocket. Download the app today. But lottery is a fun time there, Frankie, to
It is
kind of hope for a big hit.
You got to be in it to win it too, right? That's like one of the things that they always say. So you gotta, you can't be you see all these numbers popping up on the screens and all these people talking about on the radio and on social media. Oh, this numbers at this, the Mega Millions and the Powerball, all these things, all these lottery tickets. You can't feel like you're never going to be the one that wins it if you don't actually get one. That's always been my stance on it. Like you gotta have you gotta have possession of one to try and win it. So that's kind of my stance. I'm always kind of on JackPocket. Just if it feels like it's the right moment, bang, you buy a ticket and you just have it on there, and it's so digital. You don't have to go into one of these stores. It's so easy. It really is an amazing app.
You got to be in it to win it. That is spot on. JackPocket lottery app. New customers use that code GOLF, and that is code GOLF, and you're going to get your first lottery ticket for free on JackPocket. Download the app today. This episode is brought to you by Body Armor Flash IV. Body Armor Flash IV, it is packed with electrolytes and provides faster and longer lasting hydration with no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or dyes. That is an incredibly critical part. This is huge. Recovering from a little Nashville weekend last weekend, friend's birthday. We went and had a great time with, we had 20-something folks, mostly all from St. Louis. Great to see, my brother, my family, my friends. But Nashville's that kind of place. You just get after it, and then you're trying to recover. You're trying to make sure you can do podcasts, travel for work. I got to be honest, Body Armor Flash IV, first thing I grabbed when I got home. You can drink one. It doesn't have any of the artificial, like I said, flavors, sweeteners, or dyes. Great tasting flavors like strawberry kiwi, tropical punch. Body Armor Flash IV gives your body the rehydration it needs to recover. This stuff is just huge for us.
It really is. I've got a bunch at the house, and it has been such a savior, especially for when we're running around. We're redoing the kitchen downstairs a little bit. We got those new countertops, and like I said, the baby didn't like the height of the first ones, even though it's not here yet. And I had like a couple guys in here, and they're like so tired and thirsty, and being able to like hand them like a Flash IV was like life changing for them. Like guys they're like men sweating, and like they're wearing the big pants and the big shoes, and I'm like, you could see like the rejuvenation, just complete, just like flush in the face, ready to rock. It was awesome to see. And they're like asking me, what is this? I'm like, it's new Body Armor Flash IV. They're like, we got to get this. We have to have this in the truck.
This week only, head on over to 7-Eleven. Use the 7-Eleven app for $1 day rewards. Get your Body Armor Flash IV for just $1.
I got my glasses on. I'm doing that Lasik. I'm going all in on it.
Okay, there we go.
April
When are you
18th.
getting the procedure done?
April 18th. Gotta hope that this baby doesn't come a little early.
Ooh.
But
New
the
eyes,
idea
new
is
baby.
like we're gonna be home, right? Like waiting for this to happen for that week leading up. And I'm like, all right, what better time to you really only need one day. I'm going to anyone in New York knows all you hear on the radio on Z100 or WFAN is Dr. Jeffrey Delarusso. It's like when you grew up on Long Island, all you hear is the name. That's what I'm going to. The guy is iconic. So he really talked me into it. He's like, you're going to be fine. I said to him straight up, I said, if you make me blind, I'm going to lose my mind. He's like,
you would never see your child. You do it right before.
He's like, you're going to be fine.
You know?
He's like, never happened before.
He's like, if I make you blind, try to hit me. Try.
Yeah.
Try.
No, so
try.
I mean, listen, I did all the preliminary stuff. My eyes are my cornea is thick. I got a thick cornea. It's healthy. Nice. I just wear my contacts too much. So they're like, you got to start wearing your glasses more. So days like today, where like we have the podcast and travel, I can't just be throwing the plastic in the eyeballs. I got to give it some time to like heal up before this procedure. It's kind of crazy, but it's like they say like the laser's on for like 10 seconds. And then like at 9 a.m., I go in with 200 over whatever. I'm like minus 250 in each eye, right? After, like he said at 9 a.m., I get this procedure done. I go home. At like 3 p.m., I'm like seeing 20 over 15. Like you could see through people. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So he said like 1 day recovery. The only reason I want to do it right up against like when the baby's born is because like I won't be out like in the sun. Like I didn't want to do it like this weekend and then like we're doing a bunch of golf videos. Like I don't know how I'll feel, you know, in the beating hot sun right away. I feel like I'll be locked in a house for like a month after that. So I thought that was the best time. So I'm going to be doing it.
I remember, God, maybe 12, 10, something like that years ago. One of my buddies did the same thing. And he was living kind of in the Boston area. So he didn't have any family around or whatever. So anyways, I picked him up from after the surgery. And he's like, yeah, we could kind of just hang for a little. I'd like to hang out with somebody. I was like, great. So picked him up, brought him back to my apartment. We were just kind of hanging out while everything wore off. And dude, I remember he's sitting on the couch, probably like whatever, 20, 30 feet away from the TV. And we had just ESPN on. It was like daytime ESPN TV. And after a few hours, he just looked at me and he's like, so you guys could just read what's going on the bottom of the screen the whole time? And I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, this is fucking insane. He's like, I haven't put glasses on. I haven't put contacts on. And I can read sharper than ever every word on that screen.
Crazy.
Like, yeah.
That's how I knew I needed glasses. I didn't get glasses until after high school. And I started working a day job where I would just look at a computer screen all day, every day, 9 to 5, all year long. Did that for a couple of years. And then I started to notice, this is actually the opposite of what happened to your buddy, where I was like, I can't read the scores on the bottom line anymore. I have no idea what those things say. And I went and got checked and they're like, you need glasses. So he really came out the other side on that one. And you can you're just going to be able to see, Frankie. Like that's crazy.
Like, I've heard a million different things about having a baby. Everyone has given me great advice. And I think one of them's like, yeah, those like in those first couple months, like those 2 a.m. wake ups or whatever it might be, like whenever you're trying to get that baby back to sleep, just easier to see and like not have to depend on getting your glasses and just like you just feel groggier. I mean, I'm sure Trent is used to it by now. Like this is your way of life. But like there is something mental about like needing something to see that just makes you just a little bit more tired and groggier. It's like it's not so natural. It's like to be able to just wake up and see is something like I've dreamed about, you know? And the other thing that I've dreamed about is being able to watch a movie in bed and just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like to be able to just like kind of just fall asleep watching TV. Because I don't fall asleep with my contacts in. I'm sure someone's listening to this being like, just fall asleep. But like I'll always have to get up, take the contacts out, wash the hands, like do the whole thing since I was like 14. So now, you know, I'm an old boy.
Imagine that. Because that's just like a nightly, that's what I do every night. All night.
Or even Rick, think
TV
about you're
on
laying
sleep.
down and like I watch TV and I gotta take even the movement to take the glasses off, put them on the stand now wakes you up a little bit more than you want to be woken up.
100%.
So,
Riggs, you don't wear contacts, nothing?
It's one of the great ironies of all time is that my eyes look in different directions, but I have fantastic vision. I have like 20/15 vision.
I guess that's like the trade-off.
It's been right. It's been, you know, probably 4 or 5 years since I've been to the eye doctor. But I remember they go in, do all the tests. And yeah, I want to say I have like 20/15 vision in one eye and 20/20 vision in the other eye. And my dad,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's genetic or whatnot, but my dad driving around, even to this day, he actually is turning 70 on Wednesday. So it's his 70th birthday. And we've just called him Eagle Eyes forever. Dude, he'll be driving down the highway in Missouri and be like, ooh, look at that coyote. And I mean, this thing is like 750 yards away running through a brown field where they're the same color. And we'll look over there and be like, what are you talking about? And no joke, he could just see everything. He's had great vision. So again, I don't know if it's really genetic, but yeah, I've never really had contacts, and I just wear the glasses that I wear are just for blue light. I wear them when we do the pod. I wear them when I travel because I'm just staring at my screen the whole
I'll have
time.
to be a better sunglasses wearer now because I feel like your eyes are just like you just want to take care of them after kind of taking the layer off or whatever. But the procedure, I'm very interested to see how it actually works. Something about bubbles, and the bubbles go in and they kind of just take a layer off. It
seems like the one, and I'm sure medical and medicine and surgeries have advanced. Like the last 20 years have been probably an insane period of like advancement, but it does seem like LASIK is the one that you hear about the most, where, you know, it used to be a whole ordeal where the recovery might be a couple weeks. You got to wear those thick, like not aviator shades, but big shades. And now it's like, bang, bang, you're out. See you later.
And there's another thing called like Smile or something that everyone's been telling me about, but I'm going with the LASIK because it's just like, give me the fastball. You know, the new stuff is probably great. The recovery is great. I'm hearing that this recovery is no problem. He's the best in the business. Jeffrey Delarusso, I'm going in. I've heard about his name my whole entire life. I've always wondered who went to him. He said Mariah Carey went to him. He's like, wow. You think she trusts her? He's like, you think she trusts her vision? He's like, do you trust your vision more than Mariah Carey? I was like, basically being like, you know, I if she wants her vision, I want my vision.
Yeah, that would have held more weight if it were like a vocal cords thing. Like a vision, Mariah Carey to me, I
think it's just like she's like, you know,
Mr. Woods,
she's living a pretty good life, so it's like, you know, she wants to see stuff.
That's fine.
I think Mr. Woods, Love Is in the Air, has had like LASIK. I think he's pretty fake. Wasn't he doing? I think he was doing ads for a LASIK guy for a long time. We probably like took him up or something. So if Tiger Woods willing to go to LASIK, that guy's whole existence is based on him needing to be able to see.
I'm very interested to see how it feels on the golf course, because contacts on a golf course has been a thing that I've just dealt with. Pollen and sand and like just like the feeling out there. Even though it feels like you have perfect vision when you're wearing contacts, you don't. So like you still feel something in there, and just your peripherals are just a little off. It'll be wild to just like everything is clear left and right.
There had to be several like sacrificial lambs to get to this point, right? Like who just you start being like, we're going to put lasers on these eyes and see if we can fix it. And be like, ooh, okay, that didn't work out. Let's try it this way.
He's giving me vision. Like it's a pretty intense, like incredible miracle. Like that we talk about pyramids and like technology. I'm walking in there not being able to see. I'm walking out with vision. Like he's giving me clear vision. Is he God?
You got to think the road to modern surgery is just littered.
Well, there's a dark story behind all of that for sure. Like there's
100%
not good.
You know, some bad stuff behind it, but
you're gonna be able to see, and that's huge.
Beautiful thing. It's an absolute beautiful thing.
They probably went from like laser and peaches to just now my eyeball. You know what I mean? Like at one point they had to go to a human eye for sure.
Well, yeah, you got to think at some point the animals were getting it pretty good.
That's a good point. I didn't really consider that. The animals were definitely first in line.
Just pigs walking around with good vision, like holy shit.
Whoa, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Or a couple with just holes in their heads.
Yeah.
Then how would I'm excited that if it worked or not with the pigs?
Oh, I don't know.
You know, you find one without. You find an animal with bad vision somehow, like.
Right? Well, like Riggs is saying, how do you know that?
How do you know?
No, I know. Right? Like you do tests. Like, hey, like
you throw stuff at it. You just throw
trying to get him to walk. Try to get him to walk through this thing. I don't know the answer, but like my dumb brain would be like, try and get him to walk through this hole, and if he can't do it,
do you first throw glasses on a pig and be like, oh wow, he's figuring it out there?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You throw something at him, he doesn't move. You put glasses on him, he moves. You're like, oh shit, he's got shitty vision. And then you do the same thing with, I don't know. It's kind of a fucked up thing to do, but we had to get to this point somehow.
How do they do any of this stuff? How'd they do like Gary Woodland's brain surgery and know that like that's making him afraid of flying on a plane? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you know any of this stuff? How'd they get to that point doing it? Like, how'd they know that like the whatever, the fox that they did a test on had anxiety or something, you know what I mean? Because of a brain tumor. It's crazy.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I think like we're very lucky to be living in the 21st century where
Oh
it's
yeah.
the trial and error period still happening, I would imagine, but not on such like a gruesome scale where they're just figuring all this stuff out and x-rays and CT scans and MRIs, like that's got to be a big part of it, where you can just it's the exact same thing about the pyramid, where instead of actually having to physically like open up somebody's head to figure out what's going on, now we have MRIs.
Right.
No, it's crazy, man. We live in crazy times. Got to be some sort of alien interference for us to have this sort of technology. Where it's revved up to in the short amount of years, and we got to make flights, so everyone can rest assured we're not going to go on another tangent here, but it is, when you really think about it, it's outrageous how fast this thing's revving up. Well, it's been only like 50 years of shit. Like, I mean, it's fucking crazy.
I do have a flight to make, but the argument that I think Graham Hancock would make is that they did the same thing. It just got blasted out of existence.
That is exactly what he would
I know.
argue.
I'm just saying, like, it wasn't that long ago where we were just like hitting stones together to make fire, and now I'm getting my eyeballs lasered so that I can have vision. Like that timeline compared to how long we think the Earth has been around is really not anything.
But that's what I'm saying.
I know. Just impressive that
like
we
that
in our
line
time
you're actually
have
thinking
gotten
of
this...
isn't as long as you're saying.
Right.
It's just we don't know where the pivot points were because they just.
And how far did they actually go before whatever
that's right.
cataclysmic event?
That's right.
It's a hard word to say. I don't even know if it was right when I tried to say it.
Cataclysmic.
Isn't it cataclysmic?
Is it not cataclysmic?
I don't think so. I think it's
cataclysmic.
Yeah.
Cataclysmic.
Damn.
You guys are adding an extra A in there.
It's a hell of a word.
Okay.
Houston, here we come. Houston, we have a problem.
I don't know if I've ever been to Houston. Have we been to Houston?
Yeah, I've been to Houston to the Icebox. I told that whole little story.
We did John Daly and Fuzzy Zeller in Houston.
Holy shit, that's right. Like that was in Houston
8 years ago.
Yeah.
Is Tiger's place in Houston or is that Dallas?
Yeah.
Blue Jack?
What's that course?
Blue
Jack National.
That's in Houston?
Yep.
It's like Houston. I think it's an hour outside of Houston.
We're playing, I mean, we can say it. I mean, today when this podcast comes out, we're playing with Nico Echevarria. We've had a nice little run-in with Nico like over the last couple of years. Came on the podcast, Colombian guy. He's like top 50 in the world now. He's an up-and-coming star. So I'm excited to get him on the channel. It'll be good.
All right. Off to Houston we go. Wild show. It's kind of what you're going to get when we record 2 shows in a row, and one of them's in the morning. You're just going to get some interesting stuff from the fellas. And now we're in a little bit of a lull here for the next week as everybody kind of lays low and gets ready for Masters Week. You know, it was like Players Championship, and then we kind of chill for a couple weeks in the golf world, and then we prepare for the biggest week of the year, which is Masters Week. We got a bunch of stuff coming up with us traveling. We got the Chicklets match. We got a travel series. We got a couple of videos we're filming in Augusta. We're doing a live show in Augusta. Then we're going straight to Chicago and doing Barstool mini golf, which is going to be as contentious as, the mini golf has ever been because it's Ryder Cup format now. Team Kirk, Team Jeff D. Lowe. So we got a lot going on the next few weeks. Frankie's having a child. Brendan Jones already has a child. There's just a lot.
Speaking of Brendan Jones, I watched him at UBS Arena last night.
Yeah, this was great.
Those videos
Hilarious.
were stunning.
Huh?
Those videos were stunning. I didn't know what was happening, honestly.
Yeah, I called him yesterday and we were just talking. I was like, he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm going to the Islander game." He's like, "Oh, I got a men's league game at UBS tonight." I was like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "Yeah, this team like asked me to play." He's like, they wanted a good goalie because they're playing a big game at UBS Arena. It's like a cool thing for them. Like they get one game on the schedule at the arena. So I was like, "Oh my God, I mean, I'm going to be there. I'll just stick around and watch you." And I went and saw the guys after, and that took up some time. And then by the time that was done, went over to the other side of the stands and watched Brendan Jones like skate out onto UBS Arena and on the ice. And he did the little warm-ups. And I watched him make a couple saves, and then he got absolutely undressed. He went for the poke check. That 5-hole. Dude, at like 2:00 in the morning, I like woke up because I think I'm in liver or kidney failure. Like my lower back hurts a lot.
Okay.
So we'll see what's going on with that. but I got an appointment on Thursday. We'll figure that out. But I was up like pretty late, and I saw at one point, not that many people had looked at my story yet, and Jake Ottinger, who's like probably one of the best goalies in the league right now for the Dallas Stars, maybe the best goalie in the league right now.
He's unreal.
Was like one of the only people that looked at that story of him getting completely split open like a Thanksgiving turkey and just thrown 5-hole, like just the most demoralizing way to give up a goal. And I sent that screenshot to Brendan, and he's like, that guy, he's my goalie in fantasy. He's like, that's my fantasy goalie who is watching me being like, yep, like rookie mistake going for broke on that poke check and just getting undressed.
He really did. He really
Hockey
did.
is so interesting in that, like, unless things are happening that I don't know about, but, like after the Lakers play at the Staples Center or, crypto.com, whatever it is now, I don't think a men's league rec team is going out there and like putting up shots. The fact that they do that at UBS,
surprised. People play like MSG on like the Knicks court. Like you'll see like the Rizzler go out there and play in like this little like content series thing. And like there's things like people can get out there and you like win contests to go do it. I don't know that it's that common. I also don't know that this is that common, you know?
Yeah. I wasn't sure.
Like,
it felt like it was just like, oh yeah, the men's league
game.
is now we got Islanders and the team that I forgot, and then the men's league is coming in.
No, it's like it's a big thing in their schedule. Like you get one game at UBS Arena if you're in this like special league, and like
Pretty
they probably pay more for it. It's very cool. I mean, the video is insane. Like when I pan to the whole arena, like Brendan Jones is just like the goalie out there.
He looked hilarious in all of his gear. I love.
Did you see him like get pissed when he gave up that goal too? He's like looking up.
Oh, dude, I saw a little bit of a celly too from one of the guys in men's league on the other team, which is devastating for the goalie. You don't really celebrate in men's league, so those guys celebrating in his face made me laugh too. Just being like,
I didn't even tell him that I stayed. I just put up those videos, and he just messaged me at like 1 a.m. He's like, "You motherfucker."
That's great.
But it was nice to like be on the other side for B Jones. He's obviously the super producer for us, filming everything. In his bio, he says follows fore-play around, which is so true. This guy's just like, we move forward, he's one step behind us, just always doing everything that we need to get done.
Picking up, like we just we do podcasts, we just throw the mics on the ground and
Bush
walk away.
is just taking up fucking wires and we're like, this is all done, right? And they're like packing shit up, getting it on planes. So it's definitely a grind. We'll have to watch Alex Bush play next time, maybe whatever the fucking arena is in Buffalo, if he ever plays that one. But
watch him play
what
video
is that
games.
arena called? Talking about like the dozen. What the hell is that arena called? Don't tell me. Does it start with an A?
Nope.
By the way, our dozen match is live. This comes out Tuesday. I think we're recording on Tuesday. It comes out tonight, so we've already been out for a day. We played XYZ in the dozen, so just check that out.
Go watch that. Alex Bush, what's the name of the Buffalo Sabres arena?
KeyBank Center.
Gah! I knew that. Do you know anyone that's ever played KeyBank Center after a Buffalo Sabres game?
I played as a kid. Like I did like the
it's kind of
intermissions before. Yeah, I played there and in the one in Rochester. But I don't know about men's league.
Sick. Intermission's probably sick.
Because you're like 8 just skating around like crazy.
Yeah, dude, the beehive just skating around
Sabres
together as a big group chasing the puck.
Yeah. So I don't even know if he won or not because I left after the first period. But that was a bad goal. But shout out to Brendan Jones.
That's great. Okay. Hopefully see some folks in Houston. Otherwise, next week we'll be back. We'll start ramping up for the Masters tournament, gearing up for the best week of the year. And then it's just full steam ahead. Golf season, you're getting hit with major championship month after month. And big event, golf season, nice weather everywhere, getting into springtime, getting into summertime. So we're there. We made it. Thank you for listening. And we'll be back next week. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard. Fuck!